A question that historians will be working on for literally hundreds of years, I mean, they're still working on George Washington, is how much is Donald Trump pocketing off the presidency? That is the title of David's new article in The New Yorker trying to answer that question. Donald Trump's newest gold mine appears to be cryptocurrency. The New Yorker reports Eric Trump often says his family first fell in love with crypto in the years after the Capitol riot. Big banks dropped the Trumps, including Deutsche Bank, their most important lender, and Capital One, where the Trump Organization had hundreds of accounts. And today, the Wall Street Journal is reporting that Donald Trump's crypto business has a partnership with another convicted felon. Chinese-born billionaire Chang Zhengzhao was convicted last year of money laundering and sentenced to 4 months in federal prison. The Wall Street Journal reports he, quote, is seeking a pardon from President Trump, according to people familiar with the matter, and recently hired Chess McDowell, a lobbyist and friend of Donald Trump Jr., to push for the pardon. Peng Zhao is the founder of Binance, the world's largest crypto exchange, which the Wall Street Journal says, quote, serves as an incubator of sorts, drumming up interest among traders to use coins issued by the Trump family's main crypto company, World Liberty Financial. David Kirkpatrick reports in The New Yorker the Trump family is involved in at least a half dozen projects selling crypto, reporting, quote, selling increasingly vaporous goods for ever more profit inevitably raises questions about what buyers are really getting for their money. The family's thirst for cash makes questions about conflicts of interest all the more pressing, like the digital clock counting the national debt, the meter on the Trump family's presidential profits ticks even faster. The New Yorker's David Kirkpatrick will join us after this break. Donald Trump is the only president in history who uses the White House to actively sell merchandise for his own personal profit. A Gulf of America baseball hat is $50 in Donald Trump's pocket. Trump flip-flops are $40, which is a markup over the New York street price of about $2. David Kirkpatrick of The New Yorker is joining us. His article is titled, How Much is Donald Trump Pocketing Off the Presidency? David, this is a tough assignment you have taken here to try to do this work. And as I've said, historians will be following you on this for literally a couple of hundred years to come. Do you think there will ever be a full accounting?
Well, little by little, more and more will be known. You know, what I try to do is go through the various enterprises and streams of income that Trump has reported or that have been reported about Trump and ask first, which of these depends on the presidency? Which of these is a way of making money off the presidency? And then what's the best I can do to figure out at least how much it's worth, right? Not the maximum it could be worth, but at least the basic, what it's going to be. And that gets me up to $3.4 billion, which is a lot of money.
And so when you look at the things that are possible because of the presidency, what are those?
Well, it ranges from selling merchandise that looks like campaign merchandise, but is actually going into his pocket, as you mentioned. There's some real estate deals. Now, he's done some details while president, or his company's done some deals while president that I'm going to say are fair. You know, it's a continuation of the family's business before he was elected, like in India. Others, there's just no way to imagine them happening without his presence in the White House. And I would count all 5 of the mega deals that he's done around the Persian Gulf with a Saudi company. A lot of the crypto ventures that he's launched definitely are unimaginable without the fact that he's president. So there's a variety of them, but real estate, deals with the Persian Gulf, getting a jet from the Qataris, and crypto are some of the big ones.
And it seems the Persian Gulf is an inspiration for him. You write, Trump's profiteering resembles that of an Arab monarch. He treats his public office as personal property, as an asset that is his to exploit as if he owned it. And David, he does that without embarrassment.
Yeah, that was the opinion of someone I quoted, you know, but you can see what we're talking about there. He treats the presidency like it is his personal property in that he's using it as the basis to make money. That's true.
And there's a list we've kind of created off of your reporting that we can put up on the screen with the Trump media crypto, 1.3 billion, token investments, 412 million, this thing $Trump, which I don't even know what it is. Is that also a cryptocurrency? 385 million? Yeah,
these are
Persian
headlines.
Gulf, 320 million.
These are subheads from the article. That's right. The $Trump is his meme coin. Token investments refers to a part of this company, World Liberty Financial. I have to tell you, the thing that most stood out to me in this reporting is just the speed, just the zeal of these money-making efforts. They launched some new ones just in the last few days before we're going to press. This new effort to sell a mobile phone service for $45.47 a month around the president's name. Most recently, just this Monday, they launched a new one, which is another kind of a crypto scheme that I didn't even include. If you look back when I started this project in March, their net worth the amount of money that they made off the president would have been more than $1 billion lower, because it's just in the last 2 months now that they've come up with this scheme where they're trading the inflated stock in Trump media for Bitcoin.
David Kirkpatrick, thank you for your invaluable reporting. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Good to be here.
We'll be right back. Time for tonight's episode of What Would Happen If Joe Biden Said This?
I'm going to see Putin. I'm going to Russia on Friday.
He's going to Anchorage, Alaska on Friday. The geography-challenged 79-year-old former resident of New York City, where the streets are numbered so he could never get lost and think he was in New Jersey, also said this.
We're going to Russia. That's going to be a big deal. What happens, happens. I'll let you know what happens. You'll be the first to know.
Donald Trump has dramatically cut research funding for Alzheimer's and dementia just at the moment when he personally needs that research speeded up. To say Donald Trump is the most childish president of the United States is correct, of course, but it's worth noting that we have never had another childish president of the United States. Donald Trump's childishness is one of the reasons no one humiliates Donald Trump better than Donald Trump, and he did that again today at 7:42 a.m. when he tweeted, "If I got Moscow and Leningrad free as part of the deal with Russia, the fake news would say that I made a bad deal." When Donald Trump was in high school and in college, St. Petersburg was called Leningrad after the Russian murderous dictator Vladimir Lenin. But the city, which is 322 years old, was only called Leningrad for 67 years. When Donald Trump Jr. was in high school and in college, the city was called St. Petersburg and has been called St. Petersburg for the last 34 years, which puts Donald Trump on this point 35 years behind the times. But now consider, and I say unaddressable because there's nothing you can say to the idiocy of Donald Trump's hypothetical that's idiotic on so many levels that I don't want to go into it because it feels bad for the brain to even begin to respond to such nonsense. I mean, Moscow is not Vladimir Putin's to give, for one thing. He couldn't give it to anyone. And by the way, no one would take it. What are you going to do with a big failing city in the middle of a big failing country? And okay, now I'm doing what I said we shouldn't do, so let's just stop that right here. What happens when you send a child to Alaska thinking he's going to Russia to talk to Vladimir Putin about Vladimir Putin ending his war in Ukraine? If Donald Trump gets Vladimir Putin to actually end his war in Ukraine, I will agree with Donald Trump that that is a very big deal. And I have no fear of having to agree with Donald Trump about anything involving Russia, because when is the last time Vladimir Putin gave up anything a child who doesn't know that Russia's adoration of its dictators always has time limits? And so whatever Russia names after Vladimir Putin will surely have a different name when Donald Trump's youngest grandchildren are in high school. Today, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and European leaders met virtually with Donald Trump to discuss his Friday meeting with Vladimir Putin. The New York Times reports Mr. Zelensky said that he had warned Mr. Trump that Mr. Putin was bluffing about his intentions in Anchorage. "I told my colleagues, the American president, our colleague, Putin does not want peace," Mr. Zelensky said. "He wants to occupy us completely." Joining us now is Ambassador Wendy Sherman, former U.S. Deputy Secretary of State. Ambassador Sherman, thank you very much for joining us tonight. I know there's nothing that any serious person can interpret in anything Donald Trump has actually said about what he's going to Alaska to do, but is it possible that the meeting with European officials and President Zelensky today might have had a possible impact on what happens in Alaska?
Well, the good news, Lawrence, is that I think today it had a positive impact. The president said the virtual Zoom was a 10. Zelensky and all of the European leaders said that there was agreement that there should be a ceasefire first before any discussion of territory, that there might be some way to deal with things without ever giving recognition for a Russian occupation of any part of Ukraine, that nothing about Ukraine should be decided without Ukraine. However, we have seen this movie before. It could well be that Donald Trump will go to Alaska ready to be tough-minded, ready to listen, making sure he does not negotiate on behalf of Ukraine without Ukraine in the room. And then Vladimir Putin may talk a good game with him, and all of a sudden we'll be back where we've been for months now since Donald Trump became president. He starts to say, I don't like Vladimir Putin. He's giving me all kinds of, pardon me, he used this word, bullshit. And as he said today, there'll be severe consequences if he doesn't want to make peace. Well, President Trump, get ready. Vladimir Putin does not want to make peace. He believes Ukraine belongs to him, and he's not about to give up. I think the President Trump wants to sweet talk him with all kinds of possibilities, trade, critical minerals, work together in the Arctic, getting him back in the G7 to make it the G8 again, thinking that the transactional approach can get Putin won over. I don't think that will happen at all. Vladimir Putin knows what he's doing. He's getting the meeting he wanted, and I think Donald Trump will walk away empty-handed, and I hope he then understands what he heard from President Zelensky and the European leaders today.
Today, Donald Trump was asked about the latest reporting on Russia trying to hack and possibly successfully hacking into the federal court system in this country, to hack into the federal court records. And Donald Trump, once again, seemed to be almost welcoming of that in his response, as he was definitely during the 2016 presidential campaign when he publicly begged Russia to hack State Department emails of Hillary Clinton. Let's listen to what Donald Trump said about this today.
There's new reporting that the Russians have hacked into some computer systems that manage U.S. federal court documents. I wonder if you've seen this reporting and if you plan to bring it up with Putin when you see him later in the week.
I guess I could. Are you surprised? Are you surprised? They hack in. That's what they do. They're good at it.
So, Ambassador Sherman, there he's admitting that they're good at it. In fact, they were so good at it that they did it during the 2016 presidential campaign, as the Mueller investigation proved. But it's inconceivable that any other president of the United States would not confront Vladimir Putin on that.
Without a doubt, Lawrence. This is a serious matter that they hacked into sealed federal court records. So that was quite a statement from the president. Likewise, when the president was asked whether he could get Vladimir Putin to stop killing civilians, he basically said, no, I've raised it with him. He says all these nice things, and then I go back home and he kills more civilians. That's a chilling statement. I hope the president listens to his own words and understands who Vladimir Putin is, what's going down here. And the president has to bring his clearest, toughest adult self to this meeting. Thank you, Lawrence.
And coming up, how much is Trump pocketing off the presidency? That's a question historians will be studying for centuries. The New Yorker's David Kirkpatrick has been working on an answer to that question, and so far he has counted billions. David Kirkpatrick will join us with his reporting on all the president's money next.
Và đầu tiên thì mình sẽ tô màu chữ Spellter trước và mình sẽ lựa chọn màu hồng để mình đi tô màu. Và như vậy mình đã tô màu xong chữ Spelter. Tiếp theo thì mình sẽ lựa chọn màu cam để mình tô màu phần tóc nha các bạn. Và tiếp theo thì mình sẽ lựa chọn màu xanh để mình tô màu nha các bạn. Và đây là đôi giày của Spelter nha các bạn. Và tiếp theo thì mình sẽ tô màu những cây xanh nha các bạn. Và như vậy mình đã hoàn thành tô màu xong bức tranh. Các bạn thấy video mình hay thì nhớ đăng ký kênh và ủng hộ cho mình nha. Xin chào và hẹn các bạn các video tô màu tiếp theo của mình.